Hi everybody, this is Tony over here at Big Dog Sport and Big Dogs Performance. It's about 10:30 and getting ready to wrap up. And we got this 70 millimeter BBK throttle body from a customer, Bob. Now, Bob has one of our stage 2 ported GT40 family type intake manifold. And he got his intake manifold and he saw the flow numbers um, after the stage 2 porting, and he saw a couple of our videos of us testing throttle bodies. And one of the things that Bob wanted to do, he wanted to make sure that he didn't restrict um, the manifold in any type of way. So our stage 2 manifolds, our stage 2 Explorer manifolds, the throttle body tunnel, once we port them, usually flows between 1040 and 1065. So 1040 CFM, 1065 CFM. In between that range with the stage 2. And that's flowed with no radius. Okay, so that's pretty much no radius. With the radius, it flows a little bit more, but to keep all of our flow comparisons the same, we started off flowing the intake manifolds with no radius, and we're going to keep doing that. That way, we have a level of consistency. So he let us know that he had a 70 millimeter throttle body, and he let us know what kind. And he noticed that that throttle body in stock form was going to be um, a flow limiting factor. Now, the throttle body is a flow limiting factor, but depending on the intake pipe and the air filter, those may also be a flow restriction. But for now, for this video, we're going to do this throttle body, this 70 millimeter BBK. So we have it taped off. It's a stock 70 millimeter BBK. We have it taped off, and we're going to put it on the flow bench and see what it does. So we have it strapped to the flow bench, and we're zeroed out. We're going to see what this one does. About 960. Yeah, so about 960. So that's a tad bit more, probably by 10 CFM more than our ported factory 65 millimeter Explorer throttle bodies. Those usually flow about 940, 950. So you can kind of see where this one, being a 70 millimeter aftermarket, it's pretty much flowing what our ported 65 millimeter factory ones are flowing. Now, another part of this video, we notice a lot of engine builders and testers, when they have an engine on an engine dyno, an EFI engine, they usually test the engine with no throttle body radius. And that hurts throttle body flow. They don't realize that that's actually reducing the CFM going into the motor, which is going to reduce the horsepower. We recently posted a video, or not a video, but some posts of one of our stage 2 or 3, and stage 3 Explorer GT40 manifolds being tested on a mile 347. Now the customer had throttle body ported. He had the 90-degree factory Explorer elbow ported, as well as his Explorer manifold. And he wanted the place where he got the engine from, the 347, to test it. And they tested it, and the manifold performed well. They cut the test short. They cut it at 6,000 RPM, but the manifold was still making power. So it was still making power at 6,000 RPM, but they cut it at 6,000 RPM, probably, to make sure they don't blow the motor up and have to get another one. But they tested that motor with no throttle body radius. And I'm going to show you guys what happens when you don't have a throttle body radius when you're testing motors, or an intake pipe with a throttle body radius when you're testing motors. So you just saw that one, just saw this one at pretty much 960. Now we're going to do a live test to show you. I'm going to turn it on. It's locked up. Gotta restart it. Okay. So now we're gonna turn it on. For 960. Okay. Now I'm gonna take the radius off. About 9:15, 9:20. About 9:15, 9:20. So on this one, that's about 40 CFM. 40, 45 CFM by just taking this radius off. Okay? Now, we try to show you guys the raw truth. A lot of people, they talk about what they hear and what they think they know. But one of the things here at Big Dogs is we actually test. We test everything. So when we make comments, it's not just hearsay or what everybody else in the industry is saying. No, we actually test, because the little things. If you have a motor that's already starving for CFM at the throttle body area, and you're testing it, on the engine dyno without a radius, you could be costing yourself 10, 15 horsepower, depending on, how much CFM the motor wants at the throttle body tunnel. As the RPMs climb, the CFM demand to keep producing horsepower also climbs. So you just saw, didn't change, didn't touch any of this, just took the radius off. And instantly a 45, 40 CFM drop. So if you guys have engine builders dynoing your motors, make sure they are running a radius on the throttle body. That way you get a true representation of what the motor can actually do. We see a lot of testing being done, and we see a lot of things that's overlooked when they're testing. You have guys that they don't use radiuses. You have guys, put motors on the engine dyno, and the air fuel ratio, is too rich in the 11s, if it's naturally aspirated, or it's too lean up top, and people just automatically think that's all the motor has in it. No, if you're gonna test the motor, try to put it in its, best situation. That way it can actually perform and give you close to the best that it can. Somewhere in the 95, 97% range. Try to get it, within that range. We don't like to just slap parts together and throw them on a engine dyno or a chassis dyno and say that's all it can do. No, because that's a misrepresentation of our parts and it's not fair to the customer. So just a little tidbit. We're going to go ahead, port this throttle body up for Bob, put the afterflow numbers on it and send it back to him. Once again, see you guys at the track.